have a problem. It's called climate change, and it is the biggest problem that we face today as a society. But it can be overwhelming, because when you hear about climate change, it's often gloomy, and it's so much easier not to do anything, to feel as if you can't do anything. I mean, you're just an individual. What are you supposed to do? And you might have heard the statistic that 100 companies are responsible for 71% of global emissions. And statistics like these make it even easier to feel helpless, as if the problem is too big and just out of your hands. So you wait for people to make laws and changes. I mean, you're not the ones in power. You can't actually make these laws. And some of you aren't even old enough to vote, so you can't vote in candidates that will make these laws and changes. So what are you even supposed to do? Well, since companies are not being held responsible for their global emissions, and they're not taking responsibility for their impact on the climate, we as consumers now also have responsibility. You see, as a consumer, you have so much power. Whether you realize it or not, you have power. And this power is the power of choice. Because as a consumer, you can choose what to buy and what not to buy. You can choose where to buy something and where not to buy something. You can choose to buy from brands and support brands that are sustainable and environmentally friendly. And you can choose to avoid brands that are not sustainable and that do not support the environment. And as a consumer, I choose to avoid plastic because plastic is so incredibly damaging towards our environment. Now, take this plastic water bottle, for example. I drank the water in it, and now I would have to discard it, and it would end up as plastic waste. And this plastic would not decompose for another 500 to 1,000 years. Now you might say, but we're in Denmark. You can just go return it, which is very true. I could go return my bottle, and I would receive 1.5 crowns for returning it. But what about other countries where such a system is not in place? Or about other things that I can't recycle, such as this broken clothespin. It's broken, so I can't reuse it, and I can't recycle it. And when you start to look, you realize that plastic is truly everywhere. This bubble wrap is made of plastic, for example, and I could reuse it a few times, but it would end up as waste. This food container, for example, this food container is also made of plastic, and I can reuse it again and again, but at some point it will break and will end up as waste. This deodorant, not only is the casing of this deodorant made of plastic, there are small plastic microbeads in the actual deodorant product. And even this shirt is made of plastic. And when you really start to look, you realize plastic is everywhere in our lives, and it seems as if we can't escape it. Everything is made of plastic. Appliances and cars and technology and your beauty products and your clothing and your school supplies. Everything is made of plastic nowadays. But I believe we should start to move away from plastic because it is so incredibly harmful to the environment, to the animals, and to ourselves. Now, if I say the term zero waste or plastic free, what do you think of? Do you think of those aesthetic Instagram posts where they have metal straws and tote bags and they got their glass jars and bamboo cutlery? Or do you think of these people who have trash jars where they brag about fitting 3 or 4 or even 5 years of trash in this little tiny glass jar? Now, while this is incredibly admirable, and I believe everyone should strive towards this, it's not realistic for everyone. But if everyone everywhere made an effort to reduce their plastic consumption and their plastic waste, that would be when we would really see a change. It is also important to note that not all plastic is created equal. This food container, for example, is so much better than that plastic water bottle because I can reuse this over and over and over again, while that plastic water bottle, I can only use it once before it needs to be discarded. And it would be more wasteful for me to throw this away just to replace it with another non-plastic alternative. So when I speak of eliminating plastic from our lives, I speak of single-use plastics. And single-use plastics are everywhere. You see them in plastic plates and plastic cutlery, you see them in plastic cups and plastic bags, and you see them in food packaging and your beauty products, and they are truly everywhere in our lives without us even realizing it. And single-use plastics are things that you would use once, either out of convenience or because it's there, just to discard it again and not to think about it. And often, these things end up in the ocean and our waterways. And then they become microplastics. Because this plastic water bottle, again, will not decompose or biodegrade for another 500 to 1,000 years, which means that every single piece of plastic ever made on this earth still exists on this earth in some form to this day. So that chocolate bar you had when you were 5 years old, the plastic wrapper on that, still exists on this earth in some way, shape, or form today. And they might change form. So this plastic water bottle might not stay the same, but it will still be plastic, and it will not fully biodegrade. And often, they take the form of microplastics. So microplastics happen when these plastics end up in water, and UV rays and waves break these down. And they're not broken down as natural materials would. It's more as if they're run through a shredder, and they become these tiny little pieces of plastic called microplastics. And so then you have water filled with microplastics that now go through the water filtration system. And you might think, okay, well, now what's the problem? They'll just get filtered out, and then we have clean water. But the truth is, these microplastics are often too small to be caught by water filtration plants. So the water then enters our home filled with microplastics, and we now drink this water with plastic in it. And out in the ocean, these microplastics are so often eaten by plankton, who mistake it for food. And then other animals eat the plankton, and the microplastics slowly work their way up the food chain until we eat a fish filled with microplastics. And they once again enter our bodies. And they're so incredibly harmful to us. They damage our organs, they hinder our growth, and they're all around toxic to us. So let's say you want to go plastic-free. You should know that it doesn't happen overnight. You can't just wake up and say, today is the day, no more plastic, I'm done. Because it's not that easy when your life revolves around plastic. And so what can you do? The first step is to change your relationship to trash. Know that when you throw something away, it doesn't actually go away. Yes, you throw it in the trash can, you take your trash out, and someone takes it away from you. It's out of your possession and it's out of your home, but it's not actually going away. It needs to go somewhere because, again, it won't disappear in our lifetimes or for a very long time. So when you throw something away, know that it doesn't actually go away. And then look in your trash can. Think about, okay, I threw this away. Why did you have this product in the first place? Why was it necessary for you to create this waste? Why was it necessary for you to throw it away? Why did you even have it in the first place? And then it's also about taking notice of your plastic. So look around you in your life. What is made of plastic? And then you'll start to realize that so many things are made of plastic. It is everywhere in our lives, and it seems so inescapable. So you need to start taking notice of what is made of plastic. And then it's about refusing plastic. So everywhere you go, just say no to plastic. If you're handed a plastic water bottle, say no thank you. If you're at the grocery store, don't use a plastic bag. And again, when you're at the grocery store, don't buy the 3 avocados that are wrapped in plastic. Buy them individually so you won't get the plastic. If you're at a restaurant, ask for your drink without a straw. Just refuse plastic everywhere you go. And then most importantly is to reuse. Again, I could go throw this away and replace it with another non-plastic alternative, whether that be glass or metal or bamboo. But that would be incredibly wasteful because I have not used this to its full potential, and I have not used this for its entire lifespan yet. And the truth is that the majority of the damage done by a product is done during the production of a product, before I even buy it and before I even use it. So if I were to replace it, I would not only be creating the waste of this being thrown away, but I would also just have bought a new product where the majority of the damage has already been done by that new product. And then lastly, it's about finding alternatives. So let's say you're looking at the things you have in plastic, and you have a plastic shampoo bottle. And then you think, okay, I can't refuse it, I need to wash my hair. But you also can't reuse it, because it can't be refilled. You need to throw it away and get a new one. So what do you do now? So now it's about finding a zero waste and plastic-free alternative. So then you might have heard of this thing called a shampoo bar. It's wrapped in paper, it does the same thing, it washes your hair, but now you're not creating all the plastic waste that comes with a shampoo bottle. And it's also about giving yourself zero waste and plastic-free options. So if you carry a plastic water bottle with you everywhere, or a reusable one, now you no longer have to worry about, okay, should I buy a plastic water bottle because I know it's not good for the environment, and okay, fine, I'll buy one, but then also what brand? All of that is gone, because you've already made your decision, which is you have your own water bottle, which is reusable, and you can fill it up over and over and over again. And the choice you've made is plastic-free. And then you should also know that if everyone went plastic-free, it would not end climate change, sadly. But it would be a huge step towards a more sustainable Earth. And the truth is that we don't need a few people doing zero waste and plastic-free perfectly. We need many people everywhere doing it imperfectly. Because you can buy the bracelet from the company that'll pull trash out of the ocean, and you can go to the beach, and when you go on walks, you can collect trash. But this won't actually solve the problem unless we stop creating the trash that is creating the problem. And I myself am not perfect. I still have plastic things in my life that I use that I'm slowly trying to eliminate and find more sustainable alternatives to. And it's hard to imagine life without plastic, because everything in our lives is filled with plastics. And so unless you're shown that it is possible, unless you're shown options for more sustainable living and more plastic-free options, you might think it is impossible, but it is very possible. And going plastic-free is a choice you have to make. It takes effort and it takes work, because when plastic is everywhere, it's hard to escape it. But it is an effort that I believe you should make, because it is so incredibly worth it, not only for the environment, but also for yourself. I think the biggest mistake that we make is thinking that we're just an individual and we really can't do that much, and so it's just not worth it in the long run. But I believe you should do what you can, instead of focusing on what you can't do. If everyone makes a change together, then everyone will also see a change together. Thank you.